Good morning. This is the JP Dinnell Podcast, episode 74. I am JP Dinnell, and as always, I have Lucas with me. What's up, bud?
Deja vu, man.
I know. Let's go.
This is what happens whenever your engineer, i.e. myself, doesn't plug their own microphone in.
It happens.
Yeah.
Well, I also didn't say...
Just happened.
It did just happen.
It did,
I also didn't say that, hey, I'm not hearing you like I normally would hear you. I could tell something was off, but I was like, oh, maybe we're going for the soft-spoken
Oh,
Lucas.
for sure.
You know.
That's the Lucas that most people prefer, is the soft-spoken Lucas.
Well, we'll see about that. Mm-hmm. So we just got done with Jesus and Jiu-Jitsu.
Yeah.
That was an awesome event. Victoria, incredible instruction.
Yep.
Very dynamic, very quick. Jiu-Jitsu game. You know, she's a two-time world champion and done a lot of incredible things in Jiu-Jitsu, but her ability to execute these moves and make them look simple is very impressive. And her ability to articulate that and teach it was very impressive. So her doing the seminar was absolutely incredible. And then Titus sharing his testimony was awesome. We had 2 salvations, around 10 rededications.
Bro, that's rad.
It was awesome. Great day for the ministry. Lots of good roles. I had, one of my buddies, Craig Dale, who I used to train with at another gym when we first moved out here. He came out of the event. Haven't seen him in a while.
That's cool.
And, we got a good round in. And so, it's been a while since Craig and I have had a round in. And then got some, really good hard rounds in today. And it was just a great day of ministry as well.
That's rad.
Rededications. Like I said, a few rededications that actually came out to a handful of the guys that help out with Jesus and Jiu-Jitsu and do Pursuit, and just in tears, like happy tears of just like, hey, this is what I've been working with and this is what I'm feeling. And, some sad tears as well. Like, hey man, this is what I've been struggling with. Like, can you guys pray for me? Can you guys help me? And so, we're able to pray with a good amount of people, give out Bibles to people that need it. People got some of the new merch that Jesus and Jiu-Jitsu has.
That's
so
cool. We got some new stickers that I didn't see until today.
I know.
Yeah,
it's
just
pretty.
hot off the presses.
Yeah, so it was good. It was a good day. But, one of the things you and I talked about was, just changing up the format of the podcast, probably pushing it back to about 1 episode per month, just kind of seeing if the engagement, I'm just kidding.
You're making me nervous, man. I was like, well, I'm out of a job.
Now, wait, we have jobs here?
Yeah, no.
Okay. But occasionally, not all the time, but occasionally doing a, a quick little 30-minute-ish episode of some rapid-fire Q&A, or just a subject that you and I discuss ahead of time that we want to dive into to see if we can have higher engagement, longer engagement, because that, one, helps the podcast out. And it just, at the end of the day, like, I know some people, they just need, they have a 30-minute commute, or they're doing a 30-minute workout. And, the longer episodes that we have with guests, I love. The longer Q&A sessions, I love those as well. But I think it's also important to just occasionally throw just a
spice it up.
30-minute, and it's been a while since we've done some of our YouTube exclusives, which those were right around 15, 20 minutes. But anyway, that's what we're doing today.
I'm stoked.
We'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on if you like it, if it's not enough, if it's too much, if it's just right. Let us know in the comments on YouTube and Instagram as well when this comes out. So, all right, bud, what do you want to open it up with?
So we got a question on YouTube that I think is pretty interesting, and it came on the heels of our last episode. But I think it's like touching a little bit on the episode that you did with your girls, because everybody sees how just awesome those 2 young ladies are. Yeah. So this question comes from YouTube. It says, how do you get your kids to remember to check what time it is? For example, how do you get them to how do you make them plan their day? We talked a lot on that last one about when to tell the stories and what the right thing is to do, the wrong thing is to do. Whenever you're engaging with somebody, as far as listening and then giving advice, because you had this constant clock going in your head of how much time do I have with this person? How do you get your kids to pay attention to that?
I think with your kids, it's just like adults. You share stories. Why it's important, anytime you're trying to teach somebody a new skill set, you have to talk about it. You have to explain it. You have to walk them through it. If you can share stories, that's very impactful. If you can have some sort of hands-on application, some sort of hands-on training that applies to whatever it is that you're trying to work through, that's important. And then just being consistent with it. The thing that you have to understand is you are trying to create a new habit. So you are creating a new habit to change their tendencies. And if their tendencies are to be late and to never know what time it is and to not be aware of these things, well, you have to create habits that helps them change their tendencies. It's like when Aiden was getting ready to drive and we were working through it, and we would tell him, like, hey, get off your phone. When we're driving around, like, no phone. You need to be looking around, looking at streets, memorizing streets, knowing where you're at so that you have awareness. It's very important for you to have awareness. And so, and part of that was explaining to him, like, hey, your phone might not work one time. Or, hey, what if happens if your phone is dead or if your phone is broken? You need to be able to know where you're at. You need to be able to navigate back home or to a location. And it's important that you have awareness of these things. And so it's just also us as parents understanding that we had to help facilitate new habits to change those tendencies.
Yeah. And like the thing that we've come into contact with, I think more than anything when we've talked about time, is punctuality.
Yeah.
So how negotiable is punctuality? And maybe when is punctuality a negotiable thing?
I mean, I know it's important, but it's one of the things I struggle with because I have so many things going on and things shift. And, even like coming here, I was like, all right, cool, awesome. Hey, I'll see you, I'm leaving. And then as I'm leaving, literally got stopped by 7 people. And I'm like, I'm having this anxiety on the inside. I'm like, I got to go. Like, Lucas is waiting on me. But then I also know people invested their time to come to Jesus and Jiu-Jitsu to talk to us.
Yeah.
And so what I should have done is text you like, hey, bud, I'm getting ready to leave. I'll call you from my car.
Yeah.
So then you would have known, oh, he's 8 minutes away. Instead of the 20 plus minutes that it took me to get here, because it took me forever to get out of there. And I'm talking. Then also I was like, oh, I got to help the guys take stuff out of the vehicles because I can't just be rolling out while they're all unloading stuff. So, I mean, punctuality is important. But there are things that, like, I think you should be flexible with your time frames.
100%.
So what I do with my clients, when I'm telling them, like, okay, hey, we start at 8 a.m. and I'm always like 45 minutes to an hour beforehand is getting there, like from whatever the start time is. Now, not including like, hey, we're starting at 7 for breakfast and then you're going to start at 8 a.m. I'm not showing up at 6. I'm going to be there right around when breakfast starts up because I only need an hour to get set up, to check out stuff, and to be good to go. It does not take us long to get set up.
Right.
I do that in case there's an issue because then that gives us the freedom and the flexibility to work through it. For me, that's a non-negotiable. Like, I'm not showing up 5, 10, 15 minutes beforehand.
Right.
Not going to happen. And so for me, what I found is I was always like, all right, hey, I'll be there at 7 a.m., maybe 7:15. And one time, the guy only heard 7 a.m. Well, the problem is I did not do a read back. And in my mind, I'm like, cool, as long as I'm there between 7 and 7:15, we're good because I said 7 or 7:15.
Yeah.
He only heard 7 a.m. I didn't have him repeat it back to me, didn't do a read back. And I get a text message at 7:05 like, hey, man, are you on your way? You're late. Everything good? I'm like, yeah, I'm on my way. He's like, and he was like irritated.
Yeah.
And when I got there, he was still irritated. And I was like, hey, man, sorry. I was like, I should have been a lot more clear between 7 and 7:15. 45 minutes is plenty of time. I know it. And it took him a while to like get over it.
Yeah.
And hey, I'm speaking at his event. He was in his mind, we need to be there at least 7, to get set up, hang out, talk through stuff. And so from that point on, I recognize like, oh, I need to be very clear and have them repeat it back to me. So I'll always tell them like, hey, I'll be there about 45 minutes to an hour. I always say 45 minutes first to an hour instead of an hour to 45. I'm always like, I'll be 45 minutes to an hour ahead of time. So since we are starting at 8 a.m., I'll be there at the latest 7:15,
right?
Maybe 7 a.m. depending on traffic and how long it takes me to get there, depending if I'm driving or if the venue's in the same room. So I've been very specific with my communication on that, and just so that they understand like we have some flexibility.
Yeah.
And I think that could apply to your question as well. Just understanding like there's 100%. A time for flexibility. Like, hey, like if we're having dinner and I'm like, hey, Lucas, you and your family coming over. Hey, anytime after 3, we're going to eat at 5. But we got, it's also kind of like, hey, bro, we got stuff to do at the house as a family. But, anytime after 3, you know, if you want to show up, because we've had like where people are coming over to hang out for his family, and it's like, I mean, we're eating dinner and we got the text at 11, like, hey, we're on our way, and we're like,
huh?
Okay,
that's like kind of 9 hours too late.
Cool.
Right?
No, I mean in the morning.
Oh, good grief!
So 6 hours ahead of time. Whoa. Showing up, and Amanda and I were like, okay, cool. And I'm like, babe, who cares? Like, you've got stuff to go do those things.
Yeah.
I'll stay here. And then when I have to go do my things, they can hang out. I mean, they're showing up 6 hours early.
Right. Yeah. It's
which I love my friends, but it's also kind of like, unless you're driving in a far distance,
yeah.
like, don't show up.
If you're driving in from
early.
Mississippi, like 6 hours is not that bad.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But so with the only reason why I say that is we've been very specific on that. It's like, hey, anytime after 3 p.m., we're going to eat around 5, but anytime after 3, come hang out, you know, relax. You want to jump in the pool. You want to help like cook. You want to just sit on the couch. You want to watch a movie. You want to play some cards. Like, hey, anytime after 3 p.m., we're good.
Yeah. I do think that's an important thing to like bring to light, because people have a tendency to think in particular that you guys who were part of the SEALs teams are super rigid. And like we have...
Jocko is.
I've heard.
He bought a house 7 houses away from the one that was being remodeled, so nothing would change in his life.
Good for him. The
agree.
Guy likes routines, right?
I agree.
Yeah.
He has all the good traits of the TISM. I always joke with him about. I'm like, bro, you got all the good parts.
Yeah, for sure. But this is...
Someone's like, did you really say that to him? I'm like,
yes.
Am I wrong? It's a superpower.
It is.
This is not being disrespectful.
No.
We just talked about this. Aiden was talking about how he has Asperger's. Mm-hmm. And I was like, but you knew this? He goes, I've known my whole life. You know, he's just so like, boom, boom, boom. I was like, oh, your mom and I were going to have a conversation with you. He goes, no, I've known. I'm like, well, you know, it's a superpower. He goes, yeah. Like,
yeah. So what, Dad? Like, cool.
It was amazing. We were actually at Pursuit. Aiden went to Pursuit this last weekend, and so did one of my best friends, Dane, and one of my other best friends, Kevin. Like, it was awesome. And so the 3 of us were all driving back together, and it came up.
And he drops that on you.
And he just said, and like, bro, I'm sitting there, and like, so Dane knows,
right?
You know, like. Yeah. Dane and his wife Rebecca have been our best friends for a very long time. They've known the kids. The kids have grown up. You know what I mean? Like, I've had dreams for every one of their kids.
Oh wow!
Like prophetic dreams that Rebecca was pregnant for every single one of their 3 kids. Dude. I did the same thing with Amanda and Steve Little.
That's cool.
Stephen Little. Anyways, so Dane, you know, Aiden, very, very long time. And so does Kevin. Kevin actually was the only person Amanda would let touch her belly when she was pregnant with him.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So Amanda and Kevin's wife, Janet, are best friends. They grew up together. Cool. They all went to high school together. They all worked together. Anyways, so both of these guys have been in the picture a very, very long time for Aiden. When Aiden said that, I look over and Dane kind of was just like, doing like the half look at me. And then I look in the mirror and Kevin kind of just was like looking at me. We're just navigating this, and it was so funny. He was just
matter of fact.
Well, yeah, that's part of it. And you know, I was just like, you know, it's like a superpower, man. Like it's, you know, his ability just to focus in on stuff and listen to stuff, and anyways, but it's just
pretty cool
the way he said it. So it's funny we're talking
like
about
you're the
this.
idiot.
Yeah. Yep, you're right. I'm an idiot. But it's awesome we're talking about this because he is very rigid on things, except for time.
Really?
Bro, that is one of the main friction points Amanda and I have with getting him to, like, you know, now if it matters to him, 100%. But anything that's not like a top priority, homeboy does not give one care about the time frame for that.
Couldn't care less.
Which I also kind of envy.
Yeah, in some regards, for sure.
So, anyways, you were saying military guys super rigid.
There's a lot of people who think that you guys are super rigid with all of those things. But what I've come to find out is that there are instances where a flexibility is kind of built in and understood.
Yes.
Right? Because like for us, you know, hey, we're going to do the podcast, you know, in kind of this time frame. And so I'm coming after this thing. Then I know, all right, so it could be The drive is 20 minutes. If he's leaving now, it could be 20 minutes. But if, 5 people catch him on the way out, could be an hour before he's here. So I'm going to get stuff set up. He's going to get here when he gets here. We're going to record and whatever. There are a lot of people, myself included at the very beginning, that, I've got the impression because I played those Rainbow Six games. Did you ever read any Tom Clancy novels? You know who I'm talking about?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, right. So there's a bunch of games that are based off of, the Rainbow Six team from the Tom Clancy novels.
Okay.
And whenever you create the mission, like you spend more time creating the mission on these games than you do actually executing it. And it's because, they got all these consultants and they're like, no, this is how it really is. They actually spend more time planning the mission than executing it. You spend 2 hours planning a 5-minute mission and maybe it happens, maybe it doesn't, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, you got to set your rendezvous points and your times and all of that. They're like, okay, this is going to be 2 minutes. And then after this, like if this other team's behind, you got to set your contingency plans. And that is what most people's exposure to your world is like video games or like seeing things like that in the movies or reading them. And so the projection is that like, oh no, these guys are to the minute with everything 100% because that's how they operate in the field. And so that's what it's going to be like at dinner. If the second course of the meal doesn't come 5 minutes later, 10 minutes past, then it's going to be but
that's why Jocko and Leif wrote a book called Dichotomy of Leadership.
Yeah, there we go.
One of the chapters is called Discipline but not rigid.
Right.
Yeah. Because there was a long time in my life I was super rigid on stuff to the point because that's how I kind of had to operate for a while.
Okay.
And hey, that's good. It's just like when people decide to stop drinking, they get super rigid on that. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a great thing.
Yeah.
But you can take it too far. And if you were to see like legitimate like a day in the life of us in the SEAL teams, you'd be like, oh, this is not what I think it is.
Right.
But there's a time and place. There are times where it's like down to the second where things have to be aligned and executed at the right time.
Yep.
So
I do think that's it's funny that people automatically assume that that's the case. And every time, we've had a guest on from the teams or any, like when we had Tony on, that the application to like mission ready status and when the mission is on versus hey, what are you doing? I'm gonna go back in the woods for a few days. Yeah, how many days? I don't know until I get back. Like there's kind of this also like this balance of that, and the dichotomy of that is pretty cool.
There is as you're saying that, one of the things I used to love that we would do in the teams in training, and you do it overseas as well, but we would do it in training so we could be ready over there, was like these command execution shots, like so you simulate people on the outside of the target, right? So you have the security force on the outside of the target. So, well, you need to like, so you have all the snipers and it's like, okay, hey, you assign who's shooting who. Mm-hmm. And then, once those shots go down, then you're going up, setting the breach, and you're blowing the front door, back door, right? And so it would be like 3, 2, 1, execute. And it's just like, you're hitting those marks. It's like, all right, shots taken. Breaches, boom, 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 boom. And so it was like really cool to do those things in training and for them to be just down to the second. It was always fun.
How often does that get to happen in the field? I know we're probably pushing like right up against our half hour. Yeah, how often does that happen in the field where you have the luxury of it being down to the second?
So in Ramadi, there's a few times that Stoner, Benny, and I, and a few of the other guys, we were like, all right, we're identifying who we were going to shoot. And it was like 3, 2, 1, mark. And it's 3. It's not on 1. It's 3, 2, 1, mark. On that one, you're pulling out that slack. And to hear 4 guns go off at the same time and see 4 bodies drop, it's sexy.
That's awesome.
It's really cool. And, and you do those things in training.
Yeah.
And it was just...
Yeah, because if one guy's off, it ruins it for everybody.
Yeah, sure. And that happens. Dudes miss their shots.
Yeah.
Dude, I missed a shot. I've missed a handful of shots overseas in combat. Now my follow-up shots, thank God,
on the money,
hit the mark.
Yeah. Yeah. I do think that's something that is weird when you think about it. Just the level of execution that is there in those mission ready phases, and maybe that's kind of the same thing when people are like just really dialed in whenever it's game time or when they're in competition or whatever, and then when they're not, that they're life's just regular. Remembering that you guys have like regular life and that there are different systems for things like punctuality, I think is a big thing.
Dude, I know dudes that were like super dialed in on everything they did in the SEAL teams, and their personal life was like a train wreck, bro. And it was just funny because you're like, oh, that's where all your energy goes. Because the other thing is like everyone only has so much energy and focus that they can give. I'm not making excuses for people, but there's things in my life you would think like, oh, that's going to be dialed in. And you're like, bro, like, why is this not clean and organized? And I'm like, because I don't care. Like, I literally do not care. What I've been doing is getting better at those things because I recognize, okay, I can build my capacity. I can be a little more dialed in. I can be a little more focused. Ultimately, it's discipline, right? Those things I say I don't care, it's just a lack of discipline, and I don't make them a priority. What I do need to be better at is understanding, oh, these things are a priority to my wife.
Right.
So I had a pile of stuff next to my nightstand in my room for my backpacking trip in September. I didn't care that it was there. Like that doesn't bother me.
It doesn't affect your day-to-day at all.
It bothers my wife.
Yeah.
That was her Valentine's Day gift yesterday. I cleaned all that up. She didn't say one thing.
It was good.
But yeah, I don't know. Like I think it's good to find balance. I do, obviously. I'm not saying like be sloppy, lazy, late, and be undisciplined, but there's a balance there.
Yeah.
And the people that act like boot camp instructors to their kids, you're not helping them up as much as you think you are.
No, good
now,
grief. No.
Helping them understand discipline, and structure is important. But if you're doing room inspections with your kids, I just don't think long term that's going to be as beneficial as you think.
Yeah, and it's got to put.
I might be wrong. That's just my perspective.
I mean,
and my perspective is flawed. I also know that. So,
I know some folks that are like that, and one of the things that's common amongst those parents is how taxing it is for them to feel like they have to do that because they've done it so often.
Yeah. Cody has a theory on this. He's like, why am I going to waste leadership capital on these things with my kids?
Yeah.
He goes, there's a lot of other things that are super important. He goes, if my kid wants to have a dirty room, okay. He'll understand the value of having a clean room when he needs to be cleaned. But there's also the aspect of like, hey, when I ask you to do something, if you don't do it, there are consequences.
Yep.
And we've done this with our kids. Hey, you guys need to clean up. We have things, blah, blah, blah. And if they don't do it, we start putting stuff in trash bags.
Yep.
I don't care what it is.
Yeah.
Like,
it's got to go.
You didn't listen to your mom. Like, I go into like, if you disrespect my wife and you don't not listen to your mom and you give her attitude with this amazing lifestyle that you have because of everything your mom does to allow me to travel and do what I do at Echelon Front. Hey, I could also say no to Echelon Front and be home every single day. And we're not going to have the lifestyle we have. I'm not going to be able to find anything that allows me to do what we do.
Yeah.
Nothing, So, hey, when your mom asks you to do these things, like you'll see me like, I mean, there's balance, obviously. I'm not yelling at my kids, but I'll go in and be like, hey, sit down. We're going to have a conversation right now.
Chop, kids. Yeah.
And, and then Amanda comes in because then she'll come in and be like, you're being a little hard on them. I'm like, no, they're disrespecting you. And then there's other times that she's getting onto them and I'm not helping at all. And she's like, hey, a little bit of help. I'm like, I think you're doing fine. Yeah. And then when I realized that is not ideal, she didn't think that was awesome.
Seems like you got it handled. Yeah.
And I'm not being a jerk. I literally thought she was doing a great job and had it handled. What I failed to recognize is she just wanted a little support from me.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. It's so weird.
Marriage.
I'm telling you, man, it's the great adventure. It really is. So, second question, and it piggybacks off of the way we ended our previous episode. What's a 360 survey? We've talked about it a few times. We got folks that are curious about 360 surveys, whether or not they're.
We said we're going to do a longer episode on this, but let's give them give them a little header on it.
Yeah, what is the 360 survey? And then we'll dive into its benefits and stuff later.
360, you're looking at all aspects of your life. You need to look at your marriage. You need to look at your spiritual walk. You look at your parenting, your finances, your health, your fitness, all those things.
Cool. So how do you do that at a company? Are you like creating a form that you send out for the 360 survey?
We have an assessment that we do at Echelon Front where you're able, it's like dead center green is perfect. Mm-hmm. And we have very unique verbiage in there that makes it very difficult for you to be there to show you, hey, you're not perfectly balanced.
Yeah.
So we do it for the 4 laws of combat. We also have it for the mindsets of victory that we can do as well.
Right.
And, but it's just to understand of like, hey, where are you at when it comes to these things?
Nice.
And I think it's also really important that you have your peers do it of you so that you have the perspective that they have of you.
Yeah.
Which is very important. And you can ask, you can create specific questions based off of what you're actually doing, industry specific, what you're doing in regards to like the level that you're leading. And I think, but if you're wanting to do an assessment of yourself, that's what I would look at yourself and say, okay, finances, your physical health, your diet, which people are like, well, those are the same. No, they're not. Mm-mm. Like, you want those complement each other.
Yeah.
And if your diet's dialed in, the physical thing comes to fruition. It comes to play. Not come to play. It comes into play.
Yeah. Yeah. It comes into play.
No, you get the results that you want. Like, what Jonathan and Ann do with First Aid Nutrition.
Yeah.
When you're focused on your diet and you're being disciplined with your diet and you're tracking and you're doing the pictures and you're weighing yourself and you're reporting, like those, it's only going to make you better. And the thing I like about Jonathan and Ann is I took a little bit of break of doing all the reporting stuff. I just had some stuff going on that I needed to focus on. You're aware, you know about it. And we'll talk about that soon, I think. Okay. The California trip. Right. Which was incredible. But I was still tracking what I was eating. Yeah. Like I haven't got off the path. I'm just on the shoulder. Yeah. I'm still...
Are you an overeater or an undereater whenever you're tracking your stuff?
What day is it? What's going on in my life?
Yeah.
Honestly, like there are times where it's just like, oh, I've eaten once today. And then there's other times where I'm like, I need to go crush a large pizza right now. Yeah. And probably get a banana split.
Right.
But but that's what I love about what Jonathan and Ann do. Jonathan is one of the most incredible coaches I've ever worked with. And
no doubt.
Because his ability to make you feel valued and cared is incredible. It's just like Justin with 360 Fitness, who now works for us full time at Echelon Front, so he doesn't do that anymore as much. He's unreal. Like Aaron Archer from Double Five, who Archer Performance, he's the same way. Like so, these 3 guys that I get to work with, it's pretty freaking incredible. Yeah. And they're just very like, hey, cool, if you're able to do it, awesome. If not, like, let's make adjustments, but let's keep you just at least moving
in the right direction.
Yeah. If you're not in the lane that you want to be in, cool, you're on the path. You're just not in the fast lane. But hey, slow lane still gets you there eventually. But when you're ready to get back in the fast lane, let's freaking go. And that's the analogy I have in my brain for what I'm doing with First In. Like, I'm still going down the road.
Yeah. As long as you're not looking for the exit, you're in good shape.
Oh no, I'm not. Bro, that ain't happening again. Yeah, that is not happening. And it's cool because I've been able to float around the 218 to 222 range. Bro, this last year I got up to 248. That's not good. It's not good. Everybody was like, bro, you're so big and strong. I'm like, yeah, but I can't do anything for more than 15 seconds. Jiu-jitsu was horrible. I had no cardio. Yeah, I was strong and I was big, but it wasn't a good big. Right. And so just being in the 220 range, I feel so much better. And my goal this next year, I would like, man, if I could live in the 210 range, I think that would be cool. But I don't like, I'm not too worried about the scale either. Right. As long as I can get my cardio back where it needs to be and just like where I'm feeling good. And dude, I'll tell you what, going from 238 to 218 and then floating around there, I'm sleeping better.
Oh, no doubt.
Night and day difference.
No doubt.
Fun fact, I actually don't stop breathing throughout the night, and Amanda's not worried about me dying. Huh. So that's cool.
That is pretty neat.
Yeah, it's fun.
It's a nifty little byproduct.
Yeah. I'm not like...
Your wife is also not having stressful sleep.
I'm not ripping my hostage tape off like in a panic because I stopped breathing completely for a minute.
The good news is, with SEAL training, you can hold your breath for a really long time.
I can.
Yeah.
However,
well done, you.
I don't think it's good for brain function. Anyways.
And that's why we use our nootropics, which are found in Jocko Fuel.
Yes.
Yeah. So just a Jocko Fuel before bed will help you if you get apnea.
Yeah.
These claims
not
have
approved,
not been
not approved by the health.
These claims have not been looked at by the FDA.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh yeah, because their recommendations are solid. They're about to be.
We'll see.
We're about to clean house.
We'll see.
Ooh, I wonder how many people that just upset.
I don't know.
Why would cleaning house to get us back on the path to be healthier upset anybody?
Because we've politicized health. That's why.
Yeah.
Like that.
But
That's
so remove
the bottom
that.
line.
So remove that.
Mm-hmm.
Do you really think do we have any listeners that, hey, if what I just said bothered you, I didn't mean it as an attack. I respect your opinion, and I would actually like to talk with you about it. I would actually really like to discuss and learn your perspective and opinion as to why you think that we should not focus on being healthy as a nation.
Yeah, I do think it's the political thing, man. We've allowed so many things in this country to become political that we can't. You can't just make a statement about lifestyle and decision without it sounding like it has some sort of political alignment, and that's a dangerous spot to be. But I do think it's one of the reasons that the last 25 years really we've allowed things to become so divisive is because now everything is a political statement. But I will say, if the country does get healthier, then Dr. Now is not going to have a job. And that little guy from My 600-Pound Life on TLC has just been blowing up my Instagram Reels feed because he's maybe, even though I've never watched an episode of that show, I'll spend 2-3 minutes a day just letting him chew up my time and talking to patients. And he's like, oh, I think this is water weight. You think this is water weight? He's like, you're lying to you, but you think you can lie to me? I'm a doctor. This is not water weight. Yep. Somebody's like, well, I can't get malnourished. And he's like, do you look malnourished? You're 500 pounds. You're not malnourished. You need to stay with the program or else we're not going to be able to do this. He's so, he really cares about his patients, but he's so matter of fact. That to me.
We need that. We need that.
I agree. But you asked, why wouldn't we want the nation to get healthier? If my Dr. Now Reels go away, that'd be very sad for me.
Don't worry. There's somebody else with interesting reels. So to go back to circle back on the 360, and then we'll close this out. And what we'll do is we'll do an actual deeper dive into this.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Here's the
about
thing:
that.
you need to look at the things that affect your life. I'm giving suggestions. You know what matter to you. If you're single, okay, obviously assessing your marriage is not going to be applicable. If you don't have kids, assessing your kids, how you parent is not going to be applicable. What matters to you? So the things that matter to me are my relationship with the Lord. Am I pursuing Him? Am I reading my Bible? Am I spending time in prayer? Am I spending time in praise and worship? Am I tithing? Those things are important. Tithing is an act of worship. That's not a like, oh, I have to do this. No, I get to do that because what I've been given is from the Lord. It's a gift. It's not mine. And here's the deal. You can't outgive God. Try it. Try. Because if your heart posture is correct, you'll never be able to outgive God when it comes to the blessings that you have. And it's not always a financial return. What if you being obedient and with your tithe helped you have a better relationship with your wife and your kids? Would that be worth it?
I would think yes.
You can't put you to have a good
There's
marriage.
No price tag on that.
There is literally no price tag on that. And so, that's important to me. My marriage is important. My kids are important. What I do at Echelon Front is important. My team that I lead is important. The other businesses that I'm slightly engaged with are important. Jiu-Jitsu is important. My health is important. What I eat is important. So those are the things that I'm looking at, that I'm going to assess. And that's one of the things I need to be more disciplined with. And I also need to be doing these things with Amanda. So I think it's also important that you hire coaches. If you have the means to hire a coach, you should hire a coach for that accountability that you impose upon yourself, because self-imposed accountability is extremely powerful. So anything before we close it out?
Man, I
don't care. Moving on. No, I'm just kidding. I'm sorry.
I think that's perfect. Actually, That was awesome.
Awesome. Thank you for your valuable.
Fantastic. You're welcome.
All right. Well,
I'm finally getting credit for the actual input that I have on this show.
Oh man. All right. Well, we just want to thank all of our listeners. We appreciate everything that you guys do just by listening, sharing, subscribing, commenting. Make sure you're subscribed to us on YouTube. It helps us out a lot when you guys watch on YouTube, when you interact on YouTube. Our boy Kirk, I was able to see him at Pursuit.
Yeah.
Was able to be a part of baptizing him at Pursuit.
Rad.
Yeah, he had the Jesus and Jiu-Jitsu crew baptize him. So for me to be a part of that was really cool.
Very cool.
Yeah, it was absolutely amazing. If you want to follow us on social media, I am at JP Dinnell. That's at JP Dinnell. Lucas is at Lucas Pinkard, at Lucaspinkard. Make sure you're also following Echelon Front on social media. We are at Echelon Front. And when you want to learn more about what we do at Echelon Front, go to echelonfront.com. Click on the event, see future events that we have, shop for some of the merch that we have. Check out Extreme Ownership Academy. And if you'd like to work with us at Echelon Front, you can also request that on the website. Someone from our team will reach out to you. You can also just send me a direct message. I'll help facilitate that as well. Look forward to seeing you guys at a future event, or for one of our instructors come work with you. We have one of the individual FTXs coming up in March. It's going to be here in DFW.
Super stoked about
we have,
that.
I think, a few spots left on that. It's probably going to sell out. Like, I think all of them have.
Pew.
But, we're going to edit that out. Anyways, also check out Jesus and Jiu-Jitsu. I know we talked about it. It's a ministry I'm a part of with Isaac, Josh, Steven, yourself.
Myself, not yourself, if you're listening.
Yeah. Thank you, Lucas. We have a podcast episodes come out every Tuesday, doing different events like we just did today. We're actually going to be heading up to the Boise, Idaho area.
That's what I've heard.
Yeah, man. That's going to be good.
Pretty cool.
We start off with a free jiu-jitsu seminar. Someone shares their testimony, and then we open it up for some open mat, for some good training. Man, I had some hard rounds today. It was awesome. My buddy, Craig Dale, who's a black belt, he trains at Six Blades in Keller. Him and I used to train together at Peak. And then I had Weston, and then I had Ryan Kramer, and it was just,
Dude, those are good rules.
Good for them.
Yeah.
It was good for me on the receiving end of the beat down, but I mean, those guys are just...
I resurfaced a parking lot.
So good. Yeah, you put in some work, man, here at the church.
That was a different story,
bro. That was awesome. But I mean, man, I saw the work you put in when I pulled in. Yeah. It looks great. Also, check out Little Cattle Co., Texas beef company I'm a partner with Steven, his wife, my wife. Yeah, dog. What we have on the website is going to be all that we have in regards to beef. For a while, we just made a decision to pause the beef sales for an uncertain period of time while we work to restructure Little Cattle Co. to create a more sustainable structure with the market up and down with beef and beef. It's just, there's a lot going on. So we decided, hey, if we focus on the beef tallow products, which include a body butter, tallow cream, lip balm, and the beef sticks, it's a better business model for us now, until we can build things back up to really dive back into the beef sales, which sucks because our beef, the ground beef, all of it's freaking incredible. Mm-hmm. But it's a good decision for the business. So if you want to be a wholesaler for the beef sticks and or the beef tallow products, send an email to amanda@littlecattle.co. Again, that's amanda@littlecattle.co.
And if you don't think you can use them, let me just tell you that you can, especially the tallow, because we both use the tallow as an aftershave.
I use it all the time.
So nice to get that. And on the new coffee scrub, which is on there.
It's a good product for your skin. Like, why would you not want to take care of your body? Also, I'm a partner with a printing company called On the Path Printing. Josh and I have that company. On Instagram, we are at On the Path Printing. We've been doing some stuff for Jesus and Jiu-Jitsu. Talked to Formiga. We're getting ready to roll out a bunch of stuff for Double Five Jiu-Jitsu as well.
Pretty cool.
So I work with a couple other companies in the background. If you guys want us to just talk through that with you, send us a message. Josh and I can jump in there, and then Josh and David can jump on a call with you and figure out what we have going on and what you need. It's awesome to be able to be cranking out orders for business. I know Josh just did a bunch of hoodies for Mama Lee for America's Mighty Warriors.
Nice.
Check out Bruiser Arms Company. Jocko Leif and I have I know we haven't put out a lot of stuff. Just send us a message. We can do custom gear. I was actually talking with my buddy Ryan Bates. He has a legitimate relationship with Noveski, and I have a legitimate relationship with Vortex. And so I think we're going to put together some custom Noveski Vortex rifles for Bruiser Arms.
Sick.
Dude.
That would be so sick.
Yeah. I'm really excited about that one.
I'll be willing to take a prototype and store it for you if you need it.
Let's
if
go.
You need storage.
Just send me a message about that if you have any questions. Also want to thank Origin and Jocko Fuel for all the support they've given all over the years. You know, we talk about it all the time. What they've done as a company and an organization is absolutely incredible. Yeah, really 100% American-made gear. 100% American-made gis for jiu-jitsu, rash guards, t-shirts, long sleeves, pants, hoodies, beanies, belts, wallets. They have some new boots coming out, which is incredible. It's just unreal what they're doing. And at jockofuel.com to get the cleanest supplements, clean energy drinks. They're I absolutely love what that company's doing. So very proud of them. You know, as we close it out, you know, just do an assessment. Sit back, take the time, be disciplined. Ask yourself, hey, where do you want to be? Where are you currently at? And what do you need to get? What do you need to do to get where you need to be? It's just like, you know, I've talked about this before, and we can dive deeper into it when we do the assessment, but it's in land navigation. I think about it like in regards to what we used to do in land navigation, like, cool, I knew where I needed to go because I would have that as a final destination. But if I didn't take the time to figure out where I was at and where I was starting at, my direction of travel could be wasted energy.
Yep.
And so if you're trying to make changes, you have to be able to do an honest self-assessment and say, okay, this is where I'm at. This is where I want to go. And then reverse engineer a plan back to where you're at. So it's sustainable and it's something that you can do every single day. So with that, I hope this episode has been a reminder to go do the work that's needed, to put in the effort, build your legacy, and to never settle. This has been the JP Dinnell Podcast, episode 74.